Hello, my name is Dominika, and today I have a pleasure to talk to you about Agile and how we are in GOD approaching and fulfilling and trying to understand the Agile mindset. So basically, why, first of all, is the word turning Agile? A very popular word now. It is because, very generally speaking, of course, Agile actually proved to be successful in the world of change and complexity, because it helps us and shows us how to deal with complexity and actually how to adapt to change. As simple as that, much complicated in the practice. But to understand how this really works, let's come back to what was before, and it was waterfall. As many of you maybe know, in waterfall, you've got the project, and all project activities are divided into the sequential phases according to the tasks. So let's say we have first generating of idea, and then we put the specification, everything. We write the whole big book. And then maybe we build a prototype. After the prototype, if this is what we want, we build the product, we test it, and we deliver to the customer. Well, of course, the expectation is that everything works smoothly, in a predictable way, and according to the plan. But the reality is usually different, and things rarely go according to plan. And first of all, if you think about software development and waterfall, testing done on the whole thing at the very end means just a tragedy. I mean, it will cost you a lot of money if you want to change everything and test it at the end. And waterfall really works for the sort of predictable system, so two conditions. First of all, you've got all the requirements up front, you know that. And the second condition, you know the risks. So building a house, waterfall works here very well, because you know it's complicated, but it's well understood, and you can plan for it. But if you come to the software, do you know any project, for example, do you know all the specification at the start of the project? My experience is that there is more unknown than known. And this is exactly when Agile methods comes to play, This is where we learn how to adapt to change. And Agile methods, the most popular, of course, is the Scrum framework, and we deliver the product incrementally, so in small time boxes. So all the sequences from waterfall, when you had, specification, testing, developing, building, all that happened in each of the small interaction, each maybe takes 2 weeks or 3 weeks. So what we get at the end of each of the interaction is the piece of the useful functionality, a piece of useful functionality, and we can show it to our customer. Customer can give us our feedback, and then we plan the next interaction, or we actually change the plan for the next interaction based on this feedback. So actually we really decrease the risk of doing something wrong. We try to do it right this way. And all Agile methods, they have one common basis. Agile Manifesto 2001, 17 people met together, and they put together those 4 principles, 12 principles, I think 4 values. They said that working software, people, interaction, customer feedback, responding to change, this is much more important than plan, tools, processes. And this way we also go, but maybe enough theory, Now let me talk how we actually get things done in GOD. And yes, we're working with Scrum. Scrum is really popular, is proving successful, and the first project, I think, in GOD started in Scrum about 10 years ago. It was an inside initiative because things didn't work. People couldn't reach the milestones, so they changed the way they were working. And at the end, it proved to be the successful way. Since then, we've built quite an expertise. We've got now, I think, more than 20 projects that works with Scrum. And last time we've calculated, over the last 3 years, we maybe run with our teams more than 1,000 sprints. But what the most important, we really had many releases, good, successful releases on the customer side. And yeah, to really understand where is the main thing, you have to understand and see the Scrum team in practice. And I wanted to tell you a short story about one of, actually this year, a situation we had in one of our teams. So this was the incident with Log4j, the weakness, the vulnerability in one of the very commonly used logging library. And what has happened is that actually users could log in and put malicious software there. So we had this problem in several places in our application. And the team was in the middle of the sprint when we received the message from the customer that the urgent fixes, they have to be made. So what the team did, first of all, as soon as they got the message, they actually met and assessed the problem. Then they replan the sprint and then deliver it. They managed to deliver actually the sprint goal together with the fixes. And it sounds pretty obvious, but actually it isn't, because let me tell you what they didn't do. First of all, they didn't wait for anyone, to plan them for them, to say, okay, now you should do something about it. They didn't wait for the next meeting, next sprint planning, or for someone to come back from the holidays. And why? Because they actually felt committed, and they felt responsible for the product. And this is where the Agile values come to play. This is an example of the Scrum team that embraced the Agile values. Second point is that actually they have to feel that they can do it. They have to have the skills. And this is the key thing, in GOD, when we're building products, we really create the team based on the requirements. So the skills in the team have to feel so people can actually build the product themselves without external dependencies. And this makes development product process basically much shorter. So the cross-functionally is the key, and we take care about that very much. The second thing is that they actually made this decision, several decisions. First was that to assess things as soon as possible. Second was to replan the whole sprint. Third decision, maybe many of other small decisions on the way, was to implement, how to implement the stuff inside to deliver, to manage. And this is an example of the self-management, that the small Scrum, nimble teams, they've got this self-managing, but it's easy to say about that, but in GOD we know no one and there's no team that actually is born with self-management. It's a process. So we try to, when someone approaches and starts the project, to introduce, to let him develop the skills, and at the same time to provide a safe environment for people learning how to make their own decisions. And I think the one key to the success is that these people could make their own decisions because they knew they are empowered by the organization to actually make those decisions. They didn't ask me or the manager what to do, or can they decide, because they knew they can decide themselves. They knew the organization will respect their decision. And this is the key to the success, to actually empower people, and so they know they can design themselves. So these are the small steps, on the simple case, how this big agility works. It all starts, and the key are the nimble teams that do the best job ever. So we do support the teams. We've got Scrum support, we've got communities, we have knowledge sharing. We actually also build our software. By the way, I'm looking for people also working in this project. We track Agile metrics for continuous learning. And this is our little baby. So, well, this basically results in the working software for our customer, and this is how we embrace agility. We empower people. We give them the skills, we give them opportunity to develop. And yeah, thank you very much.